Hey, hi everyone. Now we are ready to start our object-oriented programming. So basically, we know that Python is a object-oriented programming language. So basically, whenever we call it like it is an object-oriented programming language, so there is a two term. Something is called object, another thing is called class. Okay. So basically, if you have something, okay, for an example, okay, if you're implementing, if or you are building any software, okay, so if there are something, okay, which we can group together, okay. For an example, let's suppose there are college ABC, okay, and in this college we have let's suppose two teacher T1 and T2, okay. So uh, we have some information related to this teacher and this teacher, okay, like name, let's suppose other is age, okay. Similarly for this teacher we have name and age. So in this scenario what we're doing, actually we are maintaining the record of each teacher separately, but they belong to the same class, okay, that is a teacher. So instead of making it separately, can we make a simple class, okay, like a blueprint? Because if new teacher will come, okay, tomorrow, if tomorrow new teacher will join the college, okay, you have to again maintain the two things, okay. So instead of managing them separately, can we create a blueprint for this thing, actually, like for this this group? So if tomorrow new teacher will come, he need not to again write like what will be the name and age. He will just refer the class teacher. Okay, so he will just follow the blueprint, whatever defined in the teacher. Okay, so I hope you are I'm making some sense. Okay, so in OOPS we have something called object and classes. Okay, so now we will see the what is class. So as I was saying that a class is a blueprint for the object. So this teacher T1 is an object, you can think, okay. This T2, so what will be the blueprint for this object? Okay, so if new teacher will come, what are the information is required to maintain? Okay, so like in this case we are maintaining these two informations. If new teacher will come, again he need to follow the same blueprint which we have defined into the classes. Okay, okay, you are getting my point. So let's restrict ourselves to coding itself. So how to define class? Okay, so here in this case class we can define like this is a keyword, okay. And now we are saying the what will be the name of the class. Okay, so this is a name of class. Okay, so class is a keyword, okay. And here we define a empty class which whose name is parrot. Okay, so how to now you got my point. Okay, so this is empty class, there is no blueprint. Okay, so how you can create is very simple. Okay, you can use your Jupyter notebook to practice along with me. Okay, so here like uh, you can see here I created a class. Okay, I created the class, name is teacher, and then this is a class. Okay, so this is a class with empty things. Okay, there is nothing. And then we are creating the object, so we can create any number of objects. So this is the object, so this is your object. Okay, and then this object is referring to this class. So whatever the attribute will be there or whatever the property will be there, he will follow it. Okay, are you I hope you are getting my point. So this is a way by which we can create the object for that particular class. Okay, I hope I'm making some sense. So there is two things, something is called object and this is called class. So object is like this in our example as I talking the teacher T1. Okay, so this is the object and the teacher T1 is referring to some class, that is a teacher class. And then uh, uh, that T1 will follow the blueprint of teacher class, actually. So okay, we'll come to that point later. Okay, now you got my point. Let's move ahead. Object. Okay, so now you are getting my point. So an object is an instant of a class. Okay, when we define a class, okay, so only description for the object is defined. Okay, it's like how your object will look like, that we define it. There is no memory allocation. Okay, are you getting my point? There is no memory allocation. Okay, so this is a way by which we can create the object. Now let's suppose we have a details like how your how teacher information will look like. Okay, so in that case we can define our class here. Okay, let's suppose I'm saying here. Okay, now let me write this code into Python so it will be easy for you to understand what I'm talking. Okay, let's suppose this is a class. So there will be some information with respect to the teacher. Let's suppose I'm declaring one variable. What will be the base salary for any teacher? So I'm saying that base salary is let's suppose 10,000, and then I'm defining one init method. So basically, what is init? I will come to that point. But for now, just to explain this thing, I'm just writing the code. Okay, and then I'm using self keyword. I will come to that for that like what is this, and then I'm saying that what will be the name of the teacher, and then I'm asking that age, and then I'm asking that what is experience. Okay, and then I'm initializing it. Okay, so I'm using self dot name equal to name. So if you are coming from Java background, so in the Java we have some keyword called this, if you remember. So you can relate this self same as a this actually. Okay. Okay, just a minute. I will explain each and everything in detail. Don't worry. Let me just write the code. Okay. Now, so instead of now, this is not an empty class. We have some attribute. Now I just defined the class. Okay, this my class will look like this. So basically, let me plot it. So what I'm saying, so this is my class teacher. So if any new teacher is coming, okay, if you want to add new teacher, he must need to provide this three information, because in class we have defined it. Okay, so if anyone will create the object, okay, if anyone try to refer it, he must need to pass three value. If not, then he will get the error. What do you mean by this thing? Let's suppose if I'm trying to execute this line, I'm getting error. What error? This, because basically what is happening, okay, whenever you will create the object of this class, automatically this method will call. Okay, this method will call. Are you getting my point? Automatically. So here what we have to provide three input. Okay, so that is now you are getting my point. I was talking now, like class is a blueprint for that object. So this is a new teacher. Okay, if he want to refer this object, so you need to pass three information with respect to itself. Are you getting my point? So what is happening? So now this is an interview question. So what is the init method? Now you can understand. Whenever you will create the object, it will call automatically. That's init method. So basically, what is this? If I will explain in a simple term, I can take the example of ATM machine. Okay, so in ATM machine, so if let's suppose there is a backend code. Okay, I'm just defining very simple class ATM. Okay, and then I have some init method. Okay, this init method taking card number. Okay, this card number. Okay, so if new person will come, okay, if new person will come, let's suppose I'm going to the ATM machine. If I will call the object, okay, once I will insert my card into the ATM machine, automatically it will create the object of this class, and it will take input as a my card number, and automatically it will initialize the value of card variable. Are you getting my point? So what is happening? So it will just it will like a constructor. It is a constructor actually. Okay, are you getting my point? So it will be initialized as soon as I will create the object of that class. So here happening the same thing. So that's the reason I'm calling, like I'm calling the I'm creating the object of that class. But what is happening here? Once I will create the object of that class, it will automatically call this method. Okay, so here here this method required 3 input: name, age, and experience, that I'm not passing here. So I need to pass it. Okay. So now how I can do it? I need to pass, like, let's suppose I'm passing his name is Rahul, and then age is, let's suppose, 24, and let's suppose experience is 3 year. Now see, I'm not like my code is not complaining anything. Okay, I think you are getting my point. Okay, now you can print it. Okay, you can print it and you can see. So I'm just copying this code just to make things fast, and then I will modify accordingly. Okay, now we are printing it. So we are accessing the attribute of the class. Okay, so what do you mean by attribute of the class? So so whatever value we are defined, this is attribute. Okay, and this is a method. Are you getting my point? So this is a method and this is a attribute. So if you want to if you want to if you want to see like what are the attribute in this class, so just change this with your a. This is a keyword, and then we are taking the variable, like what is the base salary, want to see it. We can create a multiple object, that is not a issue. For an example, we'll come to that point. Now you see that. Okay, let me change it. So let me change this on also. Okay, now you can say that. Okay, so you are able to access the attribute of the class. Now how to access the attribute of the class? So you will write the, so the syntax is like you are using object and then class, and then you're calling the attribute. Okay, I hope I'm making some sense. Okay, now if you want to access instance attribute, okay, this is called class attribute. So why we are calling it class attribute? Because this is a class level attribute. Now if you want to access any initialized one, like the variable which is initialized via init method, if you want to access that one, so that also you can access it. Okay, for an example, if I will say a dot, if I will say name, so see, I'm getting Rahul. Okay, you can do like this. Okay, let me create one more object so it will be easy for us to understand. So if I'm creating B, so there is another teacher, let's suppose his name is Rohan. Okay, and his age is 27, experience is 3. So if I will say, and if I will change it, now see. Okay, so this is a way we call the access the instance attribute. So there are two attribute. Okay, one is class level attribute, other is a instance level attribute. Okay, hopefully you got my point. So whenever you will create the object, automatically this method will call. Okay, so I hope I'm making some sense. Uh, if you have any doubt, please let me know in the chat box. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will share the note. Okay, don't worry. So what is the constructor? I was talking now. Okay, so what is constructor? So constructor is like whenever you will create the object, automatically it will create the constructor. Okay, this method is defined in the class and can be initialized basic variable. Okay, if you create 4 object, your constructor will call 4 times. Are you getting my point? Every class has a constructor, but it is not required to explicitly define it. Are you getting my point? It's not necessary to define it. Okay, so whatever I will explaining, same thing we can understand via diagram also. See here, each time when you create object for a class, okay, a method will call automatically. One method will call, that method basically known as a constructor. So in our case, we have something called init method. Okay, so once you will create the object, it will call your constructor and it will return whatever I want to return it. So here we can take the example. See, we have a class human, and then we are defining like we are saying 2 variable, legs and arms, and if you print it, it will automatically like we can see the live example also. No need to see this one. So here what we're doing. So whenever you will create the object, whenever you will create the object, this method will automatically call. Okay, are you getting my point? So that we are trying to explain in the notes. Okay. Okay, so I hope I'm making some sense. Uh, okay, so what is the init method? So the function init build your object. Okay, it's not just variable you can set here. You can call class method too. What do you mean by this thing? So here you are setting your variable only. Okay, here you're setting your variable, but you can call your method also. I can show some example. Okay, I can show some example like here. So here you are setting the variable. Also you are calling some method. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, let me do the very simple thing. Okay, uh, let me create first one function here. So if I'm define salary, and then based on that, I'm just doing the basic thing. Okay, just forgive me. Okay, if I'm saying that, okay, if I'm, let me print very simple thing, just not running anything. uh Salary function called. So now what I'm doing here, so self dot salary. Now see what will happen. Okay, so what is happening? Okay, we need to pass here. Okay, now you see, if I'm saying, automatically you can see, if I'm creating one object, it is also calling the salary method. Are you getting my point? If I will create one more, you can get. So if I'm saying that uh, is available. Okay, I'm just creating simple function is available. So and then, okay, and then I'm printing not available. Let just to think, just to make thing easy, I'm just writing very simple thing. Now see, I'm not calling into the init method, so that's the reason we are not able to get output here. So if I will call into, okay, okay, so what is init? Now you are getting my point. So whenever you will create the object, automatically your init method uh, will fire. Okay, so in init we not only assign the value of variable, we can also call the function. Okay, so hopefully you are now able to get my point. Okay, to summarize all this thing, we can say a constructor is called if you create an object. Okay, in the constructor you can set the variable and call the method. So in our case we have init. Okay, so hope you are getting my point. So okay, so give me 2 minutes. So we'll start it again. Okay, so now let's continue. Okay, so now we have something called default value. Okay, so what do you mean by this thing? So for every class, constructor will be unique. Okay, so if you are initializing different class, okay, so different constructor will call. What do you mean by this thing? See, we can see an example. So we have two different class. One is called bug, other is called human. Okay, so here we are initializing wings, okay, as a value 4, and here we initializing legs 2 and arms 2. Okay, so now if I will create the object of human, so what if I will try to print what is the value of wings? Okay, are you getting my points? We created what is happening. Let me plot it diagrammatically. So there are two class. One is bug, other is human. Okay, so this class constructor automatically initializing a variable called wings, and this class initializing legs and arms. Okay, so let's suppose, let me give the value 2, and here 4. Now here you are creating two different object. Okay, one is Bob. So Bob is creating the object for okay, let me write it. So this is human, so this is bug. So Bob is creating the object for women. Okay, and then Tom is creating object for Tom is object for this class. Now if you are printing Tom wings, what will be their output? And if you're trying to print Bob's arms, so that is not like that. What I'm trying to tell, so if you create this object, so this will call, and if you create this object, this will be call. So that thing we are mentioning over here. So constructor of class is unique, so you cannot create multiple constructor in one class. Okay, so if you're calling different object, so different constructor will call. Okay, okay, so default value of newly created object can be set in the constructor. Okay, so now here, like, we are just explaining the example. Okay, so hopefully. So other thing, if you're creating multiple object of that class, then in that situation, the same constructor will call. Okay, so I hope I'm making the sense. Now we are clear with what is class and what is object. So these two things are clear now. Let's move to the next concept, that is variable. Okay, so what is variable? Okay, so uh, if you are aware of it, so it's okay. If you're not, let me explain it. What is variable? So variable is like that, it's kind of placeholder. Okay, it will store your value. Okay, basically in for example 3x plus 4. Okay, so here x is what? It is a variable. Okay, okay, so in programming we have two things, something is called local variable and global variable. So how you can understand, basically local is what I will come to that point, but let me explain you what is local and what is global. So let me go with a simple example, then I will come to the our example, like which we have. So let's suppose if I'm defining a function, I'm defining a function. Let's suppose I'm defining a uh, uh, salary. Okay, and then here I have one thing is called base, uh, 1000. Let's suppose let me take you the 10,000, and then he say then increment is a variable, so I will take that as an input from the user, and then I'm declaring one more variable, new salary. So I'm taking base, and then I'm computing. Okay, I'm computing that one, and then I will return it. Okay, new salary, I will return it. Okay, and now let me call this function, and I will passing 0.3. Okay, let me define the function. So this will be the new salary for it. So here let me declare one variable. Okay, so if I'm saying that increment equal to 0.3, so that I will pass here. Okay, okay, now if I will say base, okay, if I will do here base, okay, so we have already one variable inside the function. If I'm saying that 1000, okay, so here let me define this function over here. So here this base is out of this function actually. So this, if I will, let me call it base one, okay, instead of, so that you'll understand it better. Otherwise you'll be confused. Okay, so now if I will try to access this variable outside the function, you will get error. That means, oh, it is not defined. Why? Because this is my local variable, okay, which is only accessible within the function, or like a class where it is defined. Okay, this is not a global variable, but this base variable I can assign, I can use it from anywhere, because this is a global actually. Are you getting my point? So You can make this function also a global. Sorry, this variable is a global. How? Just write global. Okay, and okay, you cannot do like this. So let me give some value. Okay, now if I will try to print this value, now I can access it. Okay, just a minute. Why I'm not able to access it? Give me some. Okay, if I will do this one. Okay, just a minute there. Okay, sorry, I just modified the code. Okay, so there was some issue in my code editor. So what we're doing now, this base 2 is accessible from anywhere. So you can take the example. So if I will take 3, okay, and now because I created base 3 as a global variable, so it will be accessible from anywhere. Okay, so it will be accessible outside the function also. Now you can see here, so we're able to access it. Okay, so now you got my point. So why it is more like it, why we need to understand local and global variable, like whenever we are writing any code. Okay, so we need to decide, uh, or we can say that we need to segregate our variable, like which variable should be our global or it will be local. So if you are using any variable within a function and then you are not going to use anymore, so make those variable as a local variable and use in that one. And if you are doing, if you are using some value in your code and continuously you're you're going to use that variable, so in that case make your variable as a global variable. Okay, so and here global is a keyword. Okay, so I hope you are getting my point. So now let's take this example. Okay, so there are two different type of variable. One is called global variable, other is called local variable. So whenever you want use same variable for rest of your program, okay, so you can use your global variable. While if you want to use a variable in a specific function or a method, okay, so use local variable. Okay, uh, okay, so let's see this example. Okay, let's see this code example so you will better appreciate it. So here we have a function called some function. Okay, I'm really sorry. And here we define some variable. Okay, so we are not writing any global keyword. Okay, but since it is outside the function, it will automatically behave like a global function. And here we have f. So we have f value 101 outside the function, and inside the function we have some string value. Okay, now we are printing. Okay, so what we're doing, we're calling some function, and then we're printing the value of f. Okay, so when we are calling this function, we are getting I am learning Python. Okay, but this f is printing 101. Are you getting my point? Because the scope of this variable here f is limited within the function, not outside the function. Are you getting my point? Okay, so now I hope you are getting my point. So you can take another example. So here the value of f is 101. So now what we're doing, if we declare f as a global variable, what is going to happen? If we declare f as a global variable, okay, so that f will be changed. Okay, so let's implement it into the our code editor so you will better appreciate it. Okay, for an example, let's suppose the f value is 10101, and let's define some function, and here uh, I'm assigning the value I'm learning, okay, Python. Okay, so let's print this value here itself. Okay, and now if I will call this function, sum function, and then I will print value of f, you are getting two different things. Okay, because here inside the function, the variable which we have like f is only limited within the function, not outside the function. But instead of this, if I will declare f as a global variable, okay, so what is going to happen? This will override the value of f. Now you can see here. Are you getting my point? Are you getting my point? See, this 10 is overridden by this I'm learning Python, because f is now is a global variable I'm declaring, and then it will okay, so for better understanding, I'm printing the value of f before calling the function also, so you will understand it. Print f. Now see 101. So this is from your function. So this is like this will override this value 101. Then that's the reason you are getting I'm learning Python. Okay. So hopefully you got my point. Okay. Any doubt? Good. Good. So this is a function. So we have two different type of function, local variable and sorry, this we are discussing about the variable. So we have two different type of variable. One is local variable, other is a global variable. Uh, now it's time to learn about different type of method. Okay, so we have different type of method. So basically in Python we have three types of method. One is called instance method, other is called class method, other is called static method. Okay, we'll learn one by one. Okay, let's start with the instance method. Okay, so before moving the topic, we need to understand few term or few concept. You can say something is called class variable. Okay, so what do you mean by class variable? So if you remember, like when we start our session, we define a we define a class teacher. So here this variable base salary is outside the our constructor. Okay, so this is called something called class variable. Okay, this is called your class variable. Okay, so I hope you understood what is a class variable. Okay, that class variable is also known as a static variable. Okay, that class variable is also known as a static variable. What is a accessor or getter? So from the instance variable, what do you mean instance variable? Okay, that variable which we initialize by our constructor. Okay, so if you want to access or fetch that variable, okay, so we call that accessor or a getter. And if you want to set, to modify the value, we call the mutator. Okay, so just keep this 3 point in your mind so that you'll better understand the upcoming concept. Now let's go with the instance method. Okay, what is the instance method? So this is very basic. Okay, what do you mean a basic? Okay, it's like you already implemented. Okay, just need to understand it. So whenever you will create the object of the class, it will automatically fire. If you remember, okay, I was talking about constructor. Okay, if you want to print an instance variable, so we must to create an object for that class. Okay, if you are using self as a function parameter or in front of variable, that is nothing but a calling instance itself. Okay, so if you're from Java background, so you can think like this is a keyword which we define to variable for that instance class variable. Okay, instance variable used to instance method. Okay, so we already know all this thing. So here this is called instant method. Okay, so you already aware of all this thing. Okay, I'm not going to. So if you are using self, that means that is called instant method. So we can implement this thing into our code, sorry, in our Jupyter, so we'll better understand. So let me create more cell. So let me define a class student, and let's define our constructor. So init, so this is instance method, so we are using self. And then if you want to take any parameter from the user, whenever you will call the object, I'm taking a and b, and then based on that I will initialize my value of a, and then b. Okay, and then I'm also creating one more method. Okay, this is an instant method. Okay, so I'm calling average and self. Okay, and now what I'm doing, if I'm doing, let's say average is a variable, and then I'm using a plus b, and then I will divide it by 2. But my because where is a and b, we don't know, na? So this is instant, this is from instant class, so we have to write here self, and then to divide by 2, and then we'll return it. Okay, if I will return, let's suppose I'm returning average. Okay, now let me create the object. So if I will create, let's suppose there is a student Ram. Okay, there is a student called Ram. Okay, sorry, I just changed the markup. So let's suppose there is a Ram. I'm creating the object of a student. So if I'll not pass any parameter, I will get error. Okay, just a minute. If I will not pass any parameter, I will get error, because that class student need 2 parameter. If I'm saying let's suppose it's getting 45 and 47, 6 marks. Now I created a Ram, and now Ram is the object. Now I will call average method. Okay, so automatically this method is returning me the average of the marks. So what is happening here? So this is an example of instance class. Okay, so if you're using self, that means what? That is the example of instant class. Okay. uh, okay, so let me explain it again so you'll better appreciate it. So in the above program, what we're doing, so a and b are instance variable, and this get initialized when we create the object of that class, that is a student class. If you want to call average method, okay, or a function which is a instance method, we must create an object for class. Okay, so for an example, we first create the object, and then once we have an object, we are calling the function average. Okay, so I hope I'm making some sense. So see, other thing to know that it is instance method or not, we are saying here, if we clearly, like if you see, so there is a self keyword, so we can easily say that those are instance variable and method. Okay. Well, so in the next session we will go with the class method. Okay, so we will stop here, and the next session we'll start with the class method. Okay.